Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our registration workshop. We're really excited to have everybody here today. My name is Jacob, and I'm the undergraduate program advisor here in SAPL. And I'm joined by my colleague, Sarah, who will also be presenting some slides for everybody today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah. I'm the undergraduate program specialist, and I will be working with Jake today just to help you out with all the different information we have here to prepare you for the incoming BDCI course registration.
In today's presentation, we're just going to be talking about first-year courses. And prior to this presentation, you were all sent videos that gave you some great information about what to be expecting, and basic video terminology as well that would really introduce you to some of the more nuanced things when you're registering, things like what a prerequisite is or what a course cap is. So make sure you're referring to those videos, and we're going to show you a great place throughout the presentation to find them. So on the agenda today, we're going to be talking about the BDCI degree structure, registration resources overviews. There's going to be questions from webinar registrants. We're going to talk about what Connect with SAPL is, and at the end will be an opportunity to ask any more questions through our question and answer session. So before we start, I want to do a land acknowledgement. The University of Calgary is located in the heart of southern Alberta. Both acknowledges and pays tribute to the traditional territories of the peoples of Treaty 7, which include the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprised of the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kainai First Nations, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda. The city of Calgary is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, District 5 and 6.
So in terms of the BDCI degree, it is 120 units, which typically would take 4 years of full-time study. So within BDCI, we have 3 different pathways. We have the BDCI general pathway, then we have BDCI with the architecture concentration, and BDCI with the landscape architecture concentration. And within that, the degree itself consists of requirements that are core courses. So typically the first 60 units or around the 2 years are common for all pathways. So that's where you have the foundational courses to set you up for higher level curriculum. And then for all BDCI degrees, there are work integrated learning and capstone studios, and each of them will be specific to the pathway that you choose. There are also other BDCI pathway courses, and all 3 pathways will have open electives that you take as part of your degree. So as Jake mentioned, there were some links that we had sent out prior when you first registered. So these are videos that help you with the registration basics. So things like understanding the registration terminology, when and how to register, what are the general approaches to registering, understanding the different types of courses that you're registering. So these are all covered in these videos. And so these are just quick QR codes to send you there. And Jake is also sharing those codes in the chat as well. Our assumption is that everyone or most of you have had a chance to look through it because we're going to go in more of a deep dive of the different things related to your registration. So this is also more links to the registration terminology. And if you find yourself confused by some of the things that we talk about today, it would be good to go back to some of these videos to do a quick review of the different terminology and approaches. And finally, these 2 other resources, we have the registration resources video that talks more about what resources you can use as you register. And the final one is the BDCI degree planning page, which actually holds a lot of the different registration resources that we refer to. So again, all of these are really important QR codes and links. If you can't access the QR code, the links are all in the chat right now. So I'll talk a little bit about the registration resources because I know there's a lot to navigate through. So one thing to keep in mind is on our BDCI BDCI degree planning page, you'll see a lot of them already situated there. So our program guides in both written and diagram format. We have our quick references that you can use when you're registering. We have all of our resources in one section where you can download them in PDF format. And all the videos I talked about before are also included on this website. So all the links are there as well. So one of the most relevant resource that you'll end up using as you register at your enrollment start time is likely the first year reference that's linked on our page. So you can find this under the 2025-2026 quick reference. And one thing we wanted to highlight, because you may find it confusing as you're looking through all our resources, is typically we have it scheduled that if you were to take Data 201, this course is normally offered in the winter semester in your first year. So we had a bit of a hiccup this coming year. We normally work with each of the relevant faculties for these non-design courses. So with the Faculty of Science, unfortunately, they had a bit of a change in their timetabling and they weren't able to offer Data 201 in this coming winter. So we did chat with them about what next. So they have saved seats for Data 201 in fall 2025. So you could take this in fall 2025. It's not available in winter 2026, but it will be offered again in spring 2026. So for those individuals who might not be able to take it in the fall and for sure can't take it in the winter, you can also look at taking it in the spring 2026 if you want to catch up that way. Another alternative is that Data 201 is one of the mandatory course requirements, but the alternative is Design 263. So if you're not hoping to take specifically Data 201, you can actually take Design 263 instead, which is still offered in the winter 2026 semester. Another thing that might be confusing as you're looking at the quick reference guide is the fact that there is some highlighting within the document itself. So this is a quick reference guide where you can look at a glance what course you need to get into in each semester, which lab section. And this is especially relevant when you are trying to register into non-design courses because they often have different lectures and different labs that you can choose from that would work with your schedule. So these are all listed out for you so that you can easily follow along when you're registering during your enrollment start time. Now, the reason why there's different colors and highlighting is that starting next year for all of our incoming students, when you choose one section, it's typically going to be in a certain classroom or for a lot of the same classrooms. So when you choose Design 201, let's say, and you choose Lab 01, then when you register for Design 211, you should also continue to choose Lab 01. So you want to make sure you pair your selections with all the relevant colors. If you choose a different color and you move between both, you're going to end up in different classrooms and it's not going to work out because you have a set classroom based on which pathway you choose in terms of yellow or blue. So both have the same amount of quality instruction. It's just that we need to split the team into two different groups. So just make sure you're following the right ones as you enroll. Now, if you're worried that you're choosing the wrong thing or you need more support, you can always connect with us with SAPL Advising and the NSRA team, which is the new Student Registration Assistance team. Both areas can help you with making sure that you're registered in the right places. So I talked a bit about reaching out to us for advising. Once you connect with us for advising, make sure that you are choosing undergraduate BDCI incoming. We're making sure that we prioritize spots for all of our incoming students, and it will help us organize and know if we're chatting with a current student, an incoming student, or a prospective student. So for everyone here who is starting BDCI in this coming fall semester, make sure that you're choosing BDCI incoming when you're booking with us as your appointment type.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So now we're getting to the questions that were sent in to us. And if there's any more questions that come up as we're answering these, there's going to be a question and answer session at the end. So make sure you're holding on to those questions if anything else comes up. So the first question we had was from an incoming high school student. They were asking if I don't have an enrollment start time yet, what should they do?
All right, great question. So for some students, it might be because they haven't paid the $500 deposit. So this link here will take you to enrollment services. So the registrar's office, so the central team, they support the admissions process as well as helping with the enrollment setup for all of our incoming students. So if you encounter that technical issue, it's great to chat with them first because they will be the first ones to actually look at this. From our side on the SAPL end, we help with all the program advising part, but we're not going to be able to help you with the technical side when it comes to this piece. So make sure if you've already paid the $500 deposit and you still don't see your enrollment start time, make sure you contact enrollment services. And if it's more of a, I don't know where to find my enrollment start time, do check one of our videos because it does go over where you find it on your student center, how to find that time, and be prepared for it.
Another incoming transfer student asked, how do I check what transfer credit I have at the University of Calgary?
All right. So as an incoming transfer student, your transfer credit will first be reviewed by the central admissions team. And so this will be more detailed in the link I've shared here on the screen. So this takes you to the transfer credit page that talks more about what kind of transfer credits they look at, what you might potentially be getting, how do you follow up if you have questions about the assessment itself. So I would start with there.
We have a current University of Calgary student. They asked when I validate my shopping cart, I had a requisite error message for design 203, 213, and 223. They're just asking what are they missing?
That's a great question. It means that this person has already added the courses they need and then used the shopping cart and the validation tool to make sure that they have all the right courses. So this link here will take you to the shopping cart validation page, which gives you more information about how that works. But the validation analysis, it does exclude courses in the shopping cart itself. So what that means is that the courses that you added for fall 2025 and then moving on to winter 2026, the validation tool doesn't actually sense that you have design 201, 211, and 221 registered yet. It's until you get into those classes before the validation tool will notice that it exists. So this shouldn't be an issue for you as long as you have all the right courses in both the fall setup for your winter courses.
We have another current UCalgary student. They're asking, I'm already a UCalgary student, so I can't use NSRA anymore. Can I get some more help somewhere else on campus?
Yeah, so I'll explain a little bit more. So NSRA is the new student registration assistance, which is specifically for all incoming students. So if you are already a UCalgary student, you wouldn't be considered an incoming student anymore, and that's why you can't book with them. And typically NSRA, what they do is they sit down with you either in person or virtually to walk you through the registration process. So while you can't work with NSRA on this, there are a few different things that you could consider. So one of them is the University 101s that the registrar's office had created. So that link in the corner will take you to the registrar's page where it shows you all the different webinars associated with registration and more information about the different systems we have here at U of C. And of course, alongside that, you can always book with us. So as a BDCI incoming student with either Jake or I, and we can help you with the different things and walk you through the registration.
We have another current University of Calgary student. They wrote, help, there's a hold on my account and I can't register.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing this. This can happen. And so the biggest thing is making sure to check what kind of hold you have on your account. So that QR code will take you to the finances page, which is managed by the registrar's office. And it talks a little bit more about holds, late fees, things like that. And so what you want to do is make sure you check to see what kind of hold you have, and then go to the correct department to resolve the hold you have on file. And typically, if you have a hold that's resolved, it does take the system to refresh overnight before that hold is taken off. So I do recommend that as a student, check ahead of time, get it resolved ahead of time, just so that you have everything all done and set up for when your enrollment start time is. And the next page here just shows common types of holds that you might encounter. So sometimes students might not be aware that it was on file. So it's great to check ahead of time and get it resolved before you hit your registration period.
We have an incoming student from high school, and they're asking, can I swap/edit into a waitlisted class?
Okay, so it sounds like this person has already been watching our videos and they're aware of the different things that come with registration. So that QR code on the right will show you more information on waitlists and how the waitlist process is like. So when a class is full, you potentially could join a waitlist if there is one. And so when you join a wait list, just be mindful that depending on what you're trying to get into, you might need to use the swap function or the edit function, depending on what you're trying to switch over. One thing we want to warn people, and we do warn people in our videos as well, is never use Schedule Builder to do the swap or edit functions, because we find that sometimes it glitches out or something you forgot to check off, and you accidentally drop all of your classes. So we do recommend that you use your student center via the course or class search and use that to make the little tweaks like swap and edit just to save yourself a little bit of grief. And the other thing is, if you're not sure if you should be joining a waitlisted class and leaving from a class that you have already secured a spot in, please do contact either Jake or I through the BDCI advising. We can go through it with you and chat to see if it is better for what you want to do.
And we have another current University of Calgary student, and they're asking how they can find a random open elective that doesn't have any prerequisites on them.
Okay. So for those who might not know, prerequisites are courses that you have to have finished beforehand and obtain a certain grade before you can take a higher level course. There are courses that don't have those requirements. So in the right here, this link takes you to your student center, so your My UCalgary portal. And from there, through the course or class search, you can use it to search for open classes that have no prerequisites. So the next page here will just show you screenshots on how to do it. So make sure when you choose the correct term, and then from there, as you're putting in all the information, you want to make sure you're choosing to show open classes only. And then there's also an additional search criteria when you are searching for classes. So make sure you click on that. And then it opens up a lot of different options for you to modify as you search. So for the purpose of this specific question, you would choose the course attribute of no prerequisite, and then you would hit search. If you're looking for something like an online session or an in-person session or at a different campus or whatever it may be, this is where you can also modify those settings. But for the purpose of this question, you would just need to select no prerequisite.
And we have an incoming transfer student. They say, I'm still waiting for my transfer credit to get assessed. Should I enroll after I get the results?
All right. So our answer is no. You want to register right away at your enrollment start time. This is because for transfer credit assessments, sometimes it can take 4 to 6 weeks, depending on what department has to go through or what needs to be checked. So you don't want to miss your enrollment start time and miss getting into courses that you may need. So our recommendation is to register into everything that you think you should be taking, and then drop unnecessary courses by the drop deadline to avoid any financial penalties. And that QR code will take you to the academic schedule, and the academic schedule will show you when the add drop deadline would be. So this is where you can find out when the drop deadline is for each relevant semester, and then you can drop courses accordingly. And again, if you're not sure if you should drop something or not, you can always check in with Jake or I through the SAPL advising page, and we can help you through there.
We had another incoming transfer student. They're asking, I actually wanted to transfer into one of the concentrations. Why wasn't there a direct transfer? What should I take?
All right. So that QR code will take you to the calendar regulations on how to switch into a concentration. So actually everyone starts in the general BDCI program, and it is typically in their second or third year that they apply for the change of program. So that link will take you to just general information on what it's like and what you need to do. And when you apply for the concentration, you have to meet admission requirements. And our recommendation is that you follow the program guides that we've provided. If you take everything we've noted on the program guides, you will for sure meet all of the course requirements for the application into the concentration. And it is competitive admission, so you want to make sure that you are also doing well in your classes so that your application will be as competitive as possible.
And an incoming student from high school, they ask, will my first year BDCI courses be on the main campus or at the downtown campus?
This is a great question. So for now, all fall 2025 courses in the BDCI program are going to be scheduled on the main campus. So you can expect that in fall 2025, you will be taking courses on main campus here or the Northwest campus. SAPL is actually planning to move to a new space. There's been a lot of excitement about it, but there's still a lot of information that we're waiting to hear back about to confirm when this will be, especially with renovations and setting up the building and whatnot. And so the plan is to move downtown in winter 2026, but that has yet to be confirmed yet. So once we have confirmation of that, and if our students will be going downtown, we will let you all know as soon as possible, and you will have adequate time to prepare for the move. Same thing for us as staff. We will need to know ahead of time so that we can prepare for all the things that come with moving to a new building. So it's a pretty exciting, but you can know for sure that in fall 2025, everything will be on our main campus on the Northwest campus. And one thing to add is when we do move downtown, this will not be the same location that we currently have for our grad students. So the city building design lab that we have right now is not going to be where we're going to be moving to. It will be a different location.
And we have an incoming student from high school asking, can I apply for the Architectural Studies minor, acronym ARST, in the BDCI program?
All right, so the ARST minor is actually open to non-BDCI students. So what that means is if you are in the BDCI program, you are not eligible for the ARST minor. Students who are in year 2 of the BDCI program should be applying instead for the architecture concentration if you're hoping to have more of an architecture focus in your BDCI studies. So as I mentioned before, everyone starts on the general pathway in their first year, and in their second year, they have the choice to stay in the general pathway, or they can apply for the architecture or landscape architecture concentration. So this is where you would be making that switch. And that QR code in the corner is just more information on the ARST minor, those who might be interested, who might be thinking of taking this or know someone who might be taking this with a non-BDCI degree. But if you are a BDCI student, you will not need to take the ARST minor and you will not be able to take the ARST minor. Instead, you will take the architecture concentration. All right, so that's the end of the questions that we received from people who registered. So thank you again for those who took the time to send us your questions. We really appreciate it. And the questions you've provided us are actually very helpful and often common questions that other students have. So it's great to share in this presentation. Now, if we don't get to your questions by the end of today, either through Q&A or from the ones that we've answered so far, you can always connect with us. So this QR code in the corner takes you to the program advising page where we list all the different ways you can connect with SAPL. We have group advising sessions. So these are virtual drop-in sessions where anyone can join in, ask more questions about BDCI. I actually had one earlier today and we had a student who came in to ask more questions as well. So that was great to meet them there. But it is a group setting where we talk about more generic information. Now, if you want more of a one-on-one appointment, then you want to book through Elevate. And all of these links are going to be on our program advising page. So I would recommend accessing this page to see all the different ways to connect with us. And finally, if you do have any more questions that need to be answered via email, you can also contact us via bdci@sapl.ucalgary.ca. So we also have you at UCalgary coming up. So that's happening in April. And so this is for all students who have received an admissions offer, and you have a chance to join either virtually or in person. So that QR code you see in the corner will take you to the U at UCalgary for more specific information, as well as how to register. And if you have more questions about you at UCalgary, about some of the specifics, you can email events@ucalgary.ca. But on the day of you at UCalgary, virtually, you're going to be connecting with us and some of our current students. We're going to talk about the BDCI experience. And then if you come in person, you'll also be able to connect with us and the students, as well as engage in a mock lecture. So it's a great time for you to see some of the incoming students, build connections there already, ask us more questions if you, that maybe weren't covered yet. It's also really fun. Typically, these mock lectures are really engaging, and it gives you a chance to really dig into what BDCI might feel like and also get to know the instructor or the associate dean who will be running the session.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So this is the opportunity for anyone has any more questions that weren't answered in the question and answer session. So if you want to type in the chat section here, I'll be happy to read them out and we can get everything answered for you. So you have a couple coming in here, Sarah. The first one, should I register for the fall semester first, see how I do, and then register for winter classes?
That's a really good question. You want to make sure that you register for both fall and winter. So sometimes we have students who might be used to a different system where they only do the fall and then after they register for the winter later on. You want to make sure that you register for both fall and winter during your enrollment start time, because if you wait too long, the reserve caps, so the seats are saved for BDCI students, will disappear and those seats will open up to all students. So you don't want to miss your reserved seats. So make sure at the enrollment start time that you are enrolling in both fall and winter to make sure that you've saved seats for what you're going to take. Even if you're iffy about taking some or all of them, we want to recommend that you register for everything you need, and then you can always tweak after you connect with us via advising or Elevate.
I just saw someone's virtual hand go up. Did you have a question? That was from Salim. Okay, I'll go to the next one I see here. I have a student asking, I looked at the program guides, but I probably can't take all the recommended courses in each semester because I have a few extracurricular commitments. What should I do?
This is also a really good question. Sometimes you have students who have extracurricular commitments like varsity athletics, or they might want to take less courses because of work, or they prefer to take 5 or 6 years to finish their degree. So they want to take only 3 to 4 classes each semester so they can focus on doing well in their classes and balancing their work and life school balance. So in that case, it's okay to not take all the courses we've noted on the guides. They are recommendations of if you want to finish within 4 years full-time study. But if you want to take less or because you need to fit something else in, I highly recommend that you book with us for a one-on-one session with your schedule or what you think you want to take. Or if you're thinking about how many to take, we can also walk you through on what courses to prioritize for degree progression purposes. So it is a very good question, and we want to make sure you don't feel like you have to finish everything and take everything that we've noted in the 4 years. Sometimes it's great to extend it a bit so that you can fit in other things as you're going through school. So make sure you connect with us and we can help you with that.
And then we have a prospective BDCI student. I'm currently not a BDCI student, but want to take some of your courses because I want to transfer in the next year. Is that okay?
For the most part, yes, if you're taking non-design courses. So in BDCI, and you may have already looked at our program guides, there are sections where there are design courses that our students have to take. And then there are design versus non-design alternatives like data science or sustainability 201 or computer science. So those are courses you could take ahead of time while not in our program yet. But it's to make sure that you can use them again once you switch into our program. So there's a bit of a disclaimer that taking these courses ahead of time will not help you get into our program. It's once you're in our program, then you can apply those courses to meeting your degree requirements. The other thing to think about as well is there are certain courses that are design related that might be what you're interested in. So one off the top of my head I can think about is the computational design or data science route. So students who don't want to take our design classes could take data science 201 and computer science 217. So that's the pairing for the data science computer science route. But if they take those classes, then they're not going to be able to take our computational design classes, which is Design 263, 363, and onwards. It's not that you're not allowed to take it, it's that if you were to take those design classes again, you would lose credit for your previous courses. So this would mean you'd be spending tuition money and time on courses that you might not get use credits for. So when you're thinking about that piece, I always recommend to students who are thinking of transferring in to always book with Jake or I to chat about what are courses you want to take ahead of time. Does that make sense? Does that really align with the pathway you want to take within BDCI? Because we want to make sure that you're not just taking everything ahead of time and then not using all of it. We want to make sure that whatever you're taking, it's intentional and it aligns with your personal objectives.
Just waiting for some more questions to come in here. Again, you can raise your virtual hand or put anything in the chat as well, and I can read it out for you. We just have an international student. They're saying they're worried about their study permit because there might be a delay. They're asking what to do. And just as you're answering that question, Sarah, I'm gonna put the International Student Services link in the chat for them to review.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jake. So that link will be very helpful. We always recommend to all of our international students to connect with the International Student Services. And that's a link that Jake just shared. It is really important to connect with them because they are the experts on the study permits, the visas, the time length, what would happen, what country you're from, and maybe there's certain updates that might affect your application. So I think it's very important that you connect with that team. You can always keep us updated on how things are going. We definitely have international students who do email us at bdci@sapl.ucalgary.ca just to give us a heads up on how things are going. Some also connect with us, but we always refer these students back to International Student Services for all of the specific international support because we can't really support you on that piece, but we can chat about everything else around it.
I see Celine, your hand's up. Do you have a question to ask?
Hello?
Hi, you can just unmute yourself and you
Sorry,
can ask your
my chat
question.
was muted. I was just wondering for the two options like sustainability and the other design class, is it just based on preferences or does it like benefit in any other ways?
It really depends on the student. So, like specifically with sustainability, we have SUS 201 or Design 241. So, if students are wavering between the two, SUS 201 is more of a general approach to sustainability, and it is the first course that students need to take towards the embedded certificate in sustainability studies. So, if you are very passionate about sustainability and you want to take the sustainability certificate, starting with SUS 201 is a great way to get started. Design 241 would be sustainability, but with a design lens added onto it. So our students not only will be looking at sustainability, but they will be looking at it through a design lens. So it is more focused on kind of students who want to maintain like a understanding of sustainability, but not necessarily thinking of expanding further into that certificate. And if you're like, I'm not really sure, like both sound really awesome, and I might consider the sustainability certificate, but I also want to get that design lens on it. The great thing about Design 241 and Sustainability 201, specifically in this case, is that BDCI students can take either of these courses and they can use either of these courses to pursue the sustainability certificate and to take SUST 401, which is another course that is required in the sustainability certificate. So if you're unsure in your first year, this one's a good one where you can choose either one and not worry about it. This is not the case for all of the other courses. So just for sustainability, you are able to use Design 2-for-1 towards a sustainability certificate. And that's something that we were able to confirm with the Faculty of Arts. So I would say specifically for that one, but this is a really good question to ask. And if you're still deciding between the two later on, and you're trying to enroll into your courses, what we recommend is to first enroll into any of the non-design courses first. So SUS 201, Data 201, and not ComSci, NT 201 in your first year if you're not sure yet, because we'll make sure that we always have design spots for our students. But for the 201 classes that are not offered directly by SAPL, those have reserve caps, and once the reserve caps lift, you won't be able to get into them, or you might have to join a wait list once the spots open up to everyone.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
You may have a question from Angel, so I'm going to allow you to ask your question. You want to just unmute yourself? There you go.
Hello.
Hi
Hi.
there.
Hi, yeah, I was just wondering if I wanted to add a minor to my bachelor, would that be something I do like separately, or how would that happen?
Yeah, you can definitely add a minor program to BDCI. Typically, it will be during your first year when you apply for a change of program. And what that means is you can add that minor program into your degree. So I highly recommend that if you're thinking of doing that, definitely book in with us to chat about it. If you're thinking of potentially modifying your first year registration to help with that, we can also chat about that. So it depends on what kind of minor you want to do, what that would look like, and also depends on what BDCI pathway you're going to take, because depending on the pathway and depending on the minor program you want to take, it might take still the 4 years to complete. It might take 5 years. So it could take longer because of the timetabling and fitting everything in your schedule. So this is a great question where I highly recommend that you do book with us on Elevate so that we could look at your file, look at what your preferences are, and then go from there.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
You're just waiting for any more questions to come in or seeing any more hands raised. We just have a student who's interested in taking Data 201. They want to take it in the fall semester, but they're just worried. Does that mean they have to take 6 classes? They're asking.
That's a great observation. Unfortunately, this year, we are working with this hiccup. So the only available class that students can take is in the fall semester, which means if you do want to take everything we recommend, including Data 201, it does push you to the 6 courses, which is a course more than the usual full workload. And so my recommendation is enroll into it first, but definitely come chat with us about it, and also think about your other commitments as you come into the fall semester, because it can be a very heavy workload, especially with transition into university, getting used to all of your courses, getting used to navigating U of C, and getting used to even just our design courses to start. Especially with studio, we find that students are always talking about how studio and visualization take up a lot of their time, so they have to work on time management. And so it can be very heavy. And what I recommend is if you are thinking going that route, enroll in Data 201, chat with us some more and see if that works out. If you think it might be too heavy of a workload, you can always take it in the spring semester as well. So it will be offered in the spring semester, and we have received confirmation from the Faculty of Science that they will reserve seats for our students who want to take the course in the spring semester. Now, if either of those things don't really work out for you, definitely book an appointment with us to talk some more about what this might look like, and we'll go from there.
Just checking to see if anyone else has their virtual hand raised or wants to put anything into the chat.
And if you're shy and you don't want to put in the chat for everyone to see, you should be able to send a private message to Jake or I think.
Mhm.
And then we can read your private message from there and answer your question from there.
Absolutely. You just have one hand raised here. You can just unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, that looks like it was the last one of the questions. And
I
Abiha, if
think
you weren't able to answer it, please definitely connect with our office and we'd be happy to have a conversation with you about what you needed to ask there, okay?
Nadia might be quitting and then coming back in again, Jake.
Okay. Right,
So
we
we
can
might
wait a
be,
little bit. See if
yeah, we
anything
can
else.
give it a few minutes. But I'll click through to the next slide, just to the end here. While we're waiting, we'll just hold on for the last few minutes. Really, there's 14 minutes left, so we're happy to take on any other questions. If you're madly typing right now to send in a question, please take your time. We won't close any earlier. So feel free to also message via the chat itself if there are any audio issues. For now, Jake and I can definitely just mute in the meantime and just wait a bit. And again, Jake has already mentioned this, but this session is recorded. So we will be sending this out to everyone after the link is up. And if you did not receive a link after, feel free to also connect with us at bdci@sapl.ucalgary.ca. And we can also provide the link there once the recording is up. All right, everyone, we're hitting just the last minute of the session here. We didn't get any more questions. So thank you again for joining us today. We really appreciate the questions you've sent in and the questions you've also asked during the session. These are really important questions as you set up for joining us at SAPL and in BDCI. We're really excited to meet you all. Keep your eyes peeled for newsletters that you're receiving from our central admissions team. Each of these monthly newsletters will have a lot of information and links for things that are coming up. And also a lot of chances to meet with us before you start in September. So thank you again, and we will connect with you either soon after this or when you join us in September, but we look forward to meeting you then. So thank you, everyone, and this recording will be sent out after. Take care.
Good night.